Hello guys and welcome to another exciting video on this channel. In this video I'm going to show you how to create a seamless pattern in Affinity Designer. I'll be sharing with you two different methods of creating seamless patterns inside this software. The first method is the same as I have done previously in Adobe Illustrator and in Inkscape. So I'll just briefly go through that first method, but the main tutorial will be about the second method that I will use in this software Affinity Designer. So I'll put those timestamps in the description below, so that if you want to skip the first method you can go to directly into the second method. And also at the end I will show you how you can use these seamless patterns that you have created inside Affinity Designer for different templates for print on demand, for example. So let's just get started. In this first method I will be using these unicorn themed elements that I have created in one of my previous tutorials, and you can download these elements. Actually these first four elements that I have provided in that tutorial, you can find that link in the description of that tutorial. I'll put the link in the card above. So let's just get started with this first method. For that purpose, let's go to file and new and create a new document. I have already selected this 1200 by 1200 points because I'm going to create a square pattern. You can also choose to select a rectangular shape pattern, but for most of the cases I would say that square pattern would work the best. And make sure that you have the DPI selected as 300. Then there is a document units, and you can use these different units, whether these are points, you can say inches, feet, whatever you want. Just make sure that it is a square shaped document or a rectangular shaped document. We do not want any kind of bleed or margins. Color format sRGB, actually RGB and sRGB, these things are okay. And let's get create. Now the first method is very simple. It is just we are just going to copy these elements and put it into this on this page, and place them at random positions. So this is all this first method is about. So let's select this one, press Ctrl or Command C, and then Ctrl or Command V to copy and paste it. And let's place it at the center, almost about the center here. And let's select a new maybe this one, copy it and then paste it here. And let's scale it up a bit, and maybe I should reflect it on this axis. So at the top you will be able to see this icon, flip horizontal or vertical, and then these are rotation clockwise and anti-clockwise. So I'll just flip it horizontally to create a slight variation here, and then place it at this corner. Now you can see that it is going beyond these edges of this document. And whenever you have any element that is going beyond the edges of this document or the borders, you have to copy it and place it exactly at the opposite side. And for that purpose I will be using this transform panel. And this transform panel, if it is not visible, you can go to view, studio, and here you can select that, make sure it is ticked, transform. So at the transformer, now in this transformer I want you to look at this thing that is here at the top left area. This square is actually in white, is highlighted and it is white, which means that our document in the top left corner is the 00 point, means this axis here it is 00. So if there is one simple rule that you have to keep in mind while creating this type of pattern, is that if you move from left to right you have to do addition, and if you move from top to bottom you have to do addition, and if you are moving from right to left you have to do subtraction, and same case if you are moving from bottom towards the top you have to do subtraction. So this is the simplest rule that you have to keep in mind to create these type of pattern. Now it is at this top left corner, which means it is we have to copy it exactly on the opposite side, on this side towards the right, and then same thing on towards the bottom on this side, and also on the bottom right corner as well, because it is on the corner. So I'll just press Ctrl C and Ctrl V. By doing so I have copied it and placed it exactly over the original image. Next we have to move it towards the x-axis, towards the right, which means we have to do addition. For that purpose I will go to this transform panel, and in the x-axis I will just place plus 1200, means that we are going to move it towards the right. So if I if I just click on any other of the box, it will actually move on this side. We don't want to change its Y position because we are just wanting to move it horizontally. Now we want to move both of these towards the bottom. So I'll just maybe select this one and then press Ctrl C and Ctrl V. Now we don't want to move on the x-axis, you just want to move it on the y-axis, and we are going to move it towards the bottom, which means that we have to add it. So again, on this area I'll just press plus 1200. Now why I am adding 1200? That is because our document size, as you can remember initially when we created this page, that was 1200 by 1200 pixels. So that is why I'm adding 1200, because from one edge to the other opposite edge there are 1200 points. You can say that this distance between the two edges is 1200 points. So I'll just I have added 1200 points and it has moved towards the bottom. Now we want to move it towards the right side, so I'll just select this one and Ctrl C and Ctrl V, and as we want to move it towards the right, which means that we have to add 1200 towards the x-axis. So I'll just press 1200 and it is moved towards the right. Now all of the corners are filled, the center is filled. Now it's just a matter of filling the rest of the area with different elements. So I'll just populate it with random elements, and at random positions I'll just scale them up, maybe rotate them a bit, maybe copy it again and paste it, and then maybe rotate it here, and maybe cross this border area as well. And as it is crossing to on the right border, which means that we now have to copy it and paste it exactly on the other side, which is the left border. So I'll just select this one, press Ctrl C and Ctrl V. Now we want to move towards the left, which means that we have to do subtraction now. Now in this case I would like to select this center point, this center area, because if I select this corner area, I still can move it on the left side, and you can subtract 1200, but I would prefer to use this center area, and I'll just subtract 1200 minus 1200 from it, and it is moved exactly on the other side. Again, let's copy it and paste it here. Maybe you can say rotate it a bit more on this axis like this, and let's select some other elements as well. Let's select these stars and paste it here, and maybe paste it again, and maybe rotate them a bit, scale them up, and let's maybe you can say that maybe create a copy here and maybe make them smaller in size. It's just the whole design or pattern, this designing pattern in this way is just the copying of the elements and placing them at random positions. So I'll just scale them up and maybe rotate it a bit here, maybe just place it here on this border area as well. Now as you can see, it is crossing the border, which means we have to copy it on the opposite side. So I'll just Ctrl C and Ctrl V, and it has copied it, and let's move it towards the bottom, which I have selected this center area which is highlighted. You can see the center sphere is actually bigger, so let's add 1200 to this y-axis. So I'll just press 1200, add it, and it has moved towards the other side. Let's select any other element, maybe this one, and paste it here, and just maybe create another copy, maybe paste it here, maybe rotate it a bit. Though as you can see that I'm just trying to, you can say that fill out the gaps so that it doesn't look kind of empty at certain positions. So this is all this whole thing is. Maybe I would like to use this last element as well. So let's copy it and paste it here, and maybe place it here. Again, as you can see that it is crossing the border, and now we want to move towards the top, which means we have to subtract it. So I'll copy it and paste it, and then on the y-axis let's subtract 1200 from it. So I'll subtract 1200, and it has moved towards the top. Again, maybe make another copy of it and maybe place it here, maybe scale it a bit, and yeah, that looks fine. And maybe create another copy, maybe you can say that fill out any other area that I would like to, you can say that don't want to see empty. And this looks fine, and maybe I'll just place some more elements or different and create another elements, but for now this one looks fine. And maybe let's just create a copy of these zigzag lines, star shaped things, and maybe, you know, place them at this area and maybe rotate it a bit. And as it is crossing the border slightly, so let's just uh, copy it, paste it, and move towards the right, which means just adding it 1200 on the x-axis. So I think our pattern is ready. If you want to add more elements, change the position of these elements, you can definitely do so, but before exporting it, let's save it. Okay, now before exporting it, I would like to share another tip here, and that is that you can see that our background is looking white. And if we export it at this position in the form of PNG image, we will not get any kind of transparent background, because we already have a white background. So instead of a transparent background, we will get a plain white background. And if you want to keep it white, you can simply export it in this form, and then use it. But if you want to change the color of the background, and you can simply create a square at the bottom, and maybe you can say that like this one, and actually it has created at the top, and let's move it towards the bottom and change the color of maybe slightly pinkish or something like that. It totally depends upon what you want, and we don't want any kind of stroke. So we have now you can say a colored background. Now if we export it, we'll be using this colored background. And as you can see that some of the elements are filled with white color, and that is how I have initially created those elements. I might want to change the fill color as well, but that is separate thing. The purpose of this first initial method was just to show you how you can use different tools and panels inside Affinity Designer to create a seamless pattern. And that is the first method. The second method is actually a lot of different, and that is used for a different purpose. So now I have this background. Now if you don't want any kind of background, you just want a transparent background, for that purpose you have to go to this document setup and then choose this color option. And as you can see, this option is available, that is the transparent background. If you check it, you will get this transparent background. And now if you export it as a PNG image, you will get a transparent background. So make sure that what do you want, whether you want a plain background or a transparent background. So I'll just export it, and then I'll move towards the second method. At the end of this first method, I would like to say that this method is suitable in those cases when you already have different design elements available, and you just want to create a pattern using the already created design elements. So this is suitable in those cases. The second method I'll show you in a minute. So before I go into actually creating a pattern in using the second method, I want to show you something, an interesting thing, an interesting technique that we can use with Affinity Designer, and that is this thing. Let's say we have want to create something in the neon colors, 80s style, retro style look, and I have searched this neon pattern keyword in the Google Images, and I have seen it. So there are different results, and I want to use these colors that I have found in this scene. So I kind of like these colors, and I want to use these exact colors in my new pattern. No, I'm not going to create the same pattern here, but I just want to use these colors. So I will show you how you can use the exactly same colors from different image, from a different design, and you can use it in your own design. So I'll just download it, and then let's get started with the second technique. For this purpose, let's create a new document. Again, a 1200 by 1200 is okay. So I'm going to create a new document, and before that, let's go to the swatches panel. So the purpose of showing you those different neon patterns was that I want to use the color from those patterns. So once the swatches panel is open, I'm going to click here, and then I'm going to create a palette from image. For that purpose, I'm going to select that image that I have just downloaded. So once that you open that image, you get the option to create the number of colors in your swatch, how many colors you want. And we don't want these 50 colors, we just want to make things simple. Let's select 9, and maybe let's just put 7. So I think these 7 colors are okay. We want to use these 7 colors in our pattern, and that's okay. And now then again, at the bottom you will have this option of application or document or currently selected package. If you choose this option, this application option, it means that this palette is going to save into the application, and whenever you want to create a new document, whenever you open up Adobe, sorry, not Adobe, this Affinity Designer, whenever you open the Affinity Designer, these colors, this palette will be available to you. And that is what saving in the application means. If we want to save it in the document, it means that we only want to use it in this particular document, we don't want to use it for other documents. So that is suitable for those cases in which you want to just use it for once in any particular document. And then there is the last option, that is the currently selected palette. It means that this currently selected palette, it will add these you can say these new colors into this currently selected palette, and it might replace it. I have not tested this last option. I am only going to use this second option, that is the document option. It means that I want these colors to be available only in this document whenever I open this document. So let's create these 5 color palette. So now this new palette is created. Now the second technique is mostly used in those cases when you want to create an abstract shapes pattern, abstract like pattern, maybe kind of mandala things, those things. So for that purpose, let's create a sphere. Now that we have created a sphere, let's just modify it a bit. As we have selected this document 1200 by 1200, we want to create this sphere half of that size. So half of 1200 is what? 600. So we have created a 600 points, and then move on to the next, and we are going to create a height of 600 as well. So we have created a square of 600 by 600. Let's just select this black arrow tool and move it on the right side. And if it does not snap on these boundary edges, you can simply you can say that here make it exactly on the left edges of this document. So I'm going to press 300 and then 300 for this well as well, because I have selected the center point of this sphere, which means that the center point will be at 300 on this from the left edge and from the top edge of this document. So now the sphere is exactly at this edges of this thing. Let's just make it empty. No, we don't want any fill color and we don't want any stroke color as well. We just need a simple square shape. So let's just now with that we have created this square shape, we want to create some kind of element inside it so that we can actually see it. So I'm going to select this pen tool and I'm going to create this random shape here, and just a random shape. It doesn't mean necessary require any kind of specific shape. So I'm going to go to the fill and let's select fill it with this kind of pinkish color, and we are going to make this shape a child of this rectangle, so that you can see that it has kind of cut on this side because it is inside this whole square boundary. And I'm going to select this curve, maybe move it a little bit, maybe scale it and then move it here. Okay, now that we have created one of this square shape and with this curve kind of decorative element, I'm going to turn this whole thing into a symbol. For that purpose, let's go to the view and then studio, and then here we have symbols. Now once the symbol panel is open, make sure that you have this selected sync panel is selected, sync button is selected. So once the sync button is selected, we have this rectangle shape including that design element of ours is selected. Let's press create, and it has created a symbol. Now in this layers option, you can see that this our layer is turned into a symbol. Let's press control J to create a copy of that symbol and reflect it. So once it is reflected, we want on our upper corner, upper top left corner, top right corner, and we want to move it on. Let's just hide this one for a moment. So we want to move it on this side. So it is currently at you can say 600. We want to move it 600 more, so we want to make it 1200 so that it is moved on the other side. You can see that it is easily copied on the other side, and it is reflecting our design as well. So let's create a copy of this again, and this one that is the initial symbol that we have created. Now we want to move it towards the bottom. So for that purpose, we have to move it 1200 on the y-axis. Actually, sorry, we have not selected the correct point. We want to select this bottom left corner, bottom left point, and then move it 1200 towards the bottom. Now it has moved 1200 towards the bottom. Let's just refract it vertically by pressing this option, flip vertical. Let's select the first symbol again and then press Ctrl J to create a copy of it. Now we want this bottom area to move on this side. So we want 1200 on x-axis and then 1200 on y-axis as well. But again we want to flip it, so let's flip it on the horizontal side and also on the vertical side, so that we can create this you can say that kind of a mirror effect. And if this whole process look kind of tedious for you, I'll provide this template inside for download in the description below, and you can easily download this template and start using it without setting up this whole document. Now that we have our whole template or the document kind of set up, let's start creating the pattern. For that purpose, we can use any of these layers, any of these symbols, and inside that symbol we want to select this curve shape, so that we are actually whatever we want we create next is created inside that symbol. So let's create another, you can say, the random element, and let's fill it with maybe this color and move it down a bit. So you can see that we are kind of creating you can say that an abstract type of pattern, and this technique that as I've already shown you is suitable for in those cases where you want to create an abstract style patterns. Let's maybe create maybe this one here and maybe fill it with this color, and let's maybe create some kind of swirl or decorative element here, and maybe fill it with this purple color. We can change it later on, it doesn't matter, you have to use the same exact color from the palette, you can modify it easily. Let's just change it, make it more kind of purple. And before I go on and creating other elements, let's just select this curve shape and maybe create a background element as well, and make it behind this whole thing, and maybe make it black or darker color, any darker color. So we have made the background darker, and let's just start creating other random elements and filling it with different colors, swatches colors that you already have created. Let's just maybe create different element here, maybe fill it with this, maybe this color, maybe just fill it with another color, perhaps yellowish, maybe create you can say geometric shapes. You can create other geometric shapes using this shapes tool, and it gives you different options, a lot of different shapes that you can create pre-designed shapes. And let's create a star shape here and make it maybe pink. Let's create another random shape here, maybe fill it with blue color, and let's just just these random shapes that we are creating, it doesn't necessarily mean anything, and we just want to make it look interesting. Now that I have created different shapes and you can see the pattern, it is an interesting pattern, but it looks kind of dull, and in order to make it interesting we can add some different adjustment layers. And let's add one of the adjustment layers that I like, that is this HSL adjustment layer. And I'm going to, you can say that, increase the saturation, and I'll keep the luminosity as it, and let's just maybe modify these colors a little bit, and you can easily see that how much variance you can get from a simple design. And I think I'll keep it close to the originals, but maybe brighter and more, can say, prominent. And this looks interesting, and I'll leave it as it, and I'll just export this, save this document, and then I'll export it as a PNG image, and then I'll show you how you can use these patterns in different for different templates inside this Affinity Designer. So I have exported this document. Let's close it and let's open up a template. So I have this legging templates from Redbubble, and I'm going to apply that pattern that I have just created in for these leggings. So before that, let's go to the document setup, and let's go to the dimensions and change the DPI to 300, because we want to export it at 300 DPI. And let's create a simple square shape and fill it with this whole document with this one. Let's bring it below this our leggings template, and let's just decrease the opacity of these our legging templates for the moment. So I have this square shape selected, and then I'm going to go to this fill tool, and once the fill tool is selected, at the top you will be able to see different options, and from solid, linear, elliptical, and these linear, elliptical, radial and conical, these are the gradient types. At the end you have this option bitmap. So I'll select this bitmap option, and I'm going to select that PNG image that I have just created. And once that PNG image is selected, make sure that this log element, line element, is checked. If this is not checked, you are going to distort your pattern. So once this element is checked, you can move any of the handles and you can scale it down. If you press the shift key, it will just make this this whole pattern proportional, and if you release the shift key, you can rotate these patterns as you wish. So I'll just scale it down a bit, and let's hide this template as element. You can see, and now you can see that our pattern that I have just created is so much beautiful. It's interesting design, and it will look good on different products, different leggings, and you can export it as a PNG image again, and that PNG image will be suitable for this leggings. And if you are going to you can say that export it for any kind of other template, any other product, you can easily create your designs for any particular product, any specific products inside this Affinity Designer. And this is how you create and use patterns in Affinity Designer. I hope that you have found this tutorial to be useful. If so, make sure that you like the video and subscribe to this channel, because currently this channel is not monetized, and this is all the support I ask from you. And don't forget to press that bell icon so that you can be notified about my future videos as well. And thank you for watching.